the occult community. Welcome to the third installment of Fallacy and Insight series. We've been as busy as the hells. You've seen the anomalies everywhere from the elder masters and the rest of us all over the globe manifesting. I finally have the time to demolish even more fallacy about the Measurine current and the left-hand path in general. I'm also coming out of my trance and gate rights, so forgive me if I pause a few times as I come back together and ground myself. So let's begin. And just so everyone is aware, the Fallacy and Insight series is a response to fallacy weaved against the order and spirits. Then the insight is given, so people can understand more of what we do and not what idiots speculate upon. You know, what they think they know about the Measurine current and the left-hand path, hence the name Fallacy and Insight. It's also where we answer various questions that are presented and PM'd to us personally. I wanted to make that, clear due to wannabe instigators like Joe Stark, who vies for attention and validation by stating stupid shit like, we aren't doing any work if we have the time for these videos, as I stated in that ridiculous forum, that it was a subversive attempt to silence me and Somnus, as we've been decimating the bullshit. So it was as in to say we should be above answering questions and dismissing fallacy. So let me give him his few minutes of infamy. This idiot was never a full-fledged disciple. He made a claim on the Bouge forum. Oh, I wish I had took screenshots of everything before I left and everything like that. In postulant phase, you are observed, as I mentioned in a previous video, and aren't given any information aside from the copyright information and teachings. And we also will send that through email, so he doesn't know what the hell is going on, yet he claims he can affirm all the bullshit that's been spread and dismantled. As well as if he ordered something, not once in email did he reach out to me. This kid is a troll and doesn't know jack shit about the cabal or what was going on behind closed doors. So yes, Joe, you were manipulated behind the scenes. Additionally, all threats should be answered. So about the necromantic photos that you tried to threaten us with, along with James, Big Brother government already tried to do the same shit and failed miserably. And due to double jeopardy, we remain untouched by dipshits like you. So fuck you and your pathetic threat. Because it's, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna post that on my wall and in our forum. So, as for the confrontation on that pathetic Bouge forum, my post was removed, then put back up. It was cherry-picked by a bunch of children, then claimed I backpedaled, lied, all this other stupid bullshit by their cunt moderator, who attempted to act petty and make memes like an adolescent child that she proved herself to be, all the while preaching they were going to try and do anything and everything to discredit me behind closed doors. So see, a debate is one thing, but when it's a bunch of idiots bickering like a bunch of adolescent children, they resort to making memes and all this other idiotic shit comes into play. That's when this community in particular proved me right about them. That's when you lose me in the conversation or even a debate entirely. When you resort to lying and shit like my account didn't exist, I didn't backpedal, nor I delete my post. They were deleted and cherry-picked by some fucking dumb cunt wanting to be the center of attention. It's why a couple of weeks ago I was dismissing the bullshit and she makes a claim, oh, he's backpedaling, oh, he's dodging this and dodging that. No, I answered pretty much everything. Everybody knows that I stick to my word like it's measured out in law. That's how a defamation campaign works with idiotic sheeple. They say one thing, then they try and get people to agree with them, rather than debate. So all the evidence has been shown and discussed. The only idiots who haven't looked at it are the people who haven't finished these videos or seen it. If there was any community that's onto like evangelical Christians, it would be the Bouch community, drowning in cognitive dissonance when it comes to us. I like some of its authors, but the community is absolute fucking shit. And it's sad to say that many seek it out only to be misled by people whose sole purpose and aim is to aspiring to be the next megachurch pastor, magician, author, trying to start shit, steal and regurgitate the works of the same people they talk shit about, all while pretending to debate us from afar. I'm pretty sure I saw the Void meditation posted on there as well, as if they had recently invented it. A debate should be healthy. I think that's another misconception that people have about us. You have the right to your own opinion. Many of us in the cabal have opposite ways of doing things, but we evolve together. We do have our own power and our growing entities, and we acknowledge the fact that we are not our bodies. We have much to learn compared to the entities we work with. They've been around for millennia. You can't claim you're this immortal beings equal like these idiots claiming that they're above them and that they're egregores and all this other stupid shit. I wish the community wasn't this damn dumb to see it that way and would actually debate it instead of, degenerating debate itself like a form of last word contest, because that's all it's going to be. I'm also going to repost the information about the Draleth and the phylactery, which people somehow had a problem believing, though the information is out there due to idiots on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with dissecting the bullshit. The bald defectee proved my prediction right since the beginning with their belonging in the cabal and the wannabe so-called princesses of drama, spreading screenshot around that have been carefully cherry-picked for his pathetic fucking agenda without showing his own volatile responses and what he said over the years. And what led to these conversations. The wise will ask themselves, where's the rest of the conversation? What did you say? He must have been dumb enough to believe we wouldn't keep everything. So let's go over the fucking juicy business. Now, firstly, the bald defectee claimed he was forced into a spirit marriage. No, this asshole asked and commissioned the AGM to bring him a spirit mate from the Tower of the Abyss. He could have asked for a succubus like everyone else who wanted companionship, but you thought that it would be easy and there wouldn't be any work and that's all you would be able to get in this life. So he found a way to bring you a spirit from the Tower of the Abyss. And we were holding you to your word and everything that you agreed upon, since at the end it wanted a body and a vessel. Because it's not like demonic possession isn't in your tower or anything, something you should have known. But in the end, you wanted to change your mind, having him call her up. You entered a contract with that demoness, and by choice, end of discussion. So show the people the rest of the text instead of cherry picking. Hopefully, they're smart enough to ask and say, perhaps there's more to this conversation than what's being shown, rather than all of this other stupid shit he's been putting forward. In addition, he claims we had him attack his sister, which is the actual person who owed him $800, by the way, nor did we make him attack her child ritualistically. He chose to do that. Anyone stupid enough to believe otherwise fell for his simple-minded deception. Once again, as always, the information and proof will be posted to the Facebook group and on my own page for your viewing pleasure. Next up is spiritual sacrifice. Yes, we believe in spiritual sacrifices via cursing and killing through the second death. We don't need you to die. He's not telling people what he has stated or what's been going on. I have a plethora of shit to show him speaking about killing via ritual and physically, since he's decided to take up the innocent hurt snowflake to justify betraying his patroness. And how he spoke about sacrifice. I could put this hick away for years with all the stuff we have on him, running his mouth about wanting to physically sacrifice and kill. But I'm not vilifying him for that. I'm bringing his bullshit to light along with everything else. So this shouldn't come as a surprise that we believe in spiritual sacrifice, since this was one of his weak so-called trump cards. I've been talking about sacrifices for the last few videos. Yes, on this path, you need to spill fresh crimson. I mean, that's this, which leads me to my first question I received. And why do I think the community is stagnated along with those on the Balch forum? Well, due to this question right here, one of my main things is because of magical placation, and I've been dubbing this term for a long time. It's a disease that corrupts the works of all sorcerers that rise to fame and lackluster power. They dilute the workings of demons, infernals, etc., to reach a higher audience. These entities aren't going to sugarcoat their workings for mere humanity. If you're fucking up or you've set your sights against the demons like James did, they will rebuke you tenfold. There's been this glamorization of how demons operate due to humanity and people trying to placate others. Such as with the vampiric path, people corrupt their workings due to a weakened world consumed by political correctness to please the JCI public or the dross, and claim that we aren't like that. A demonic entity isn't going to tell you you're a special fucking snowflake. They will show you how to rule and make you a true king rather than put you randomly putting it in your title. And it requires certain sacrifice. When I talk about sacrifice, it didn't take long for the most stagnated community in existence to twist my words like these cherry-picked screenshots. First of all, you're not required to live a life of poverty, nor can you not have a family. I have a family. By sacrificing of wealth, we mean that I'm going to speak on a spirit. If a spirit asks you to get certain ritual implements for their ceremonies or travel to a specific place, it's going to require you go there, which is often, quite costly sometimes. You have to go in for apotheosis instead of these few stagnated idiots stated, well, I don't want it. I don't want apotheosis if it doesn't bring me wealth. Who the fuck said it doesn't? It's that kind of cherry picking of the words that leaves many of these weaklings stagnated. They make a speculation and take it as truth and remain stagnated in their ascent. So definitely, that's why I think they're stagnated. So definitely people need to say no to magical placation, the manipulation of knowledge. So it won't be useless. It becomes fallacy. You'd be surprised with how many people agree with me and will regurgitate my words and teachings, but because of their own ego, along with me not sugarcoating what's brought forward, we nor the spirits believe in mortal morals. They expect us and you to rise above a morality-based dichotomy of good and evil. You cannot claim you're all about the left-hand path or any path if you're going to magically placate. There are idiots all over Facebook right now who I see daily regurgitating the words I've put forward as if it were their own, because they have no original thoughts, especially about magical placation. It's always trying to reach a larger audience to sell their bullshit, so they glamorize the path for validation and acceptance from the weak, which is harmful and deceitful only to yourself and those who follow you. I've also wanted to dissect this bullshit for a very long time about relics. We have had two scammers start this rumor that relics aren't being taken care of, and my proof will be in the Black Court Legion group as well as my own page. So let's start off with James, who tried to use an example in the 3 stories of bullshit. Sinnohawk, or Bence DeHoxy, is a very well known in the occult community for being a scam artist. This guy got his relics, sent us pictures of those said relics before running chargebacks after a couple of days. receiving the orders, then selling them, claiming he was never getting them, to further discredit us. Even James knew this, and he was pissed off and was like, I'm gonna get this motherfucker's head and all this other shit. Naturally, I'm gonna post the proof of that as well. PayPal dicked us over, so he was able to sell the plethora of relics. Some he paid for and others he did not. Paraded around like he was the AGM as well, selling relics with a false website. This wasn't enough. While we were dealing with that, another hacker, the one we are so-called trying to quote-unquote exploit, although I didn't agree with the decision to get our money back, it was overruled, and James even neglected to share his own response. I just wanted the fucking guy gone. Yes, I was pissed about how much he stole. Now, he did pay me back for the hundreds of dollars of ritual services, but he didn't pay back Somnus and the others, despite him agreeing to do so and signing this. But let me tell you more. This guy, The Origin, kept hacking the page. If anyone remembers, the website and forum constantly kept going down, and in the past we kept telling you about we're being hacked. This guy was the cause. The issue, he kept coming back under different names, applying over and over to the cabal, trying to dick us over and hack us. When we isolated the incident, he was caught, along with him trying to make phony posts as the forum, on the forum as the AGM, which I screenshotted, where he was claiming to be creator and all this other shit. Then he tried to discredit us by using cabal literature, reverse engineer it, and post it on a fake RPG site or some stupid shit like that. That's also going to be posted on the Facebook group. And they're trying to say we were trying to exploit this idiot. No, we want our money back. Simple as that. Due to all the hacking and redirection with fake sites, that copy of ours, hence the new name, Temple of Silence. When we ask you for proof of your order numbers, or proof in general, we're trying to find out who the fuck you ordered from. If you ordered from these two, then you're fucked. If you ordered from us, then we can handle it. I also wanted to clear up this bullshit James spread. He's owed a book. He lost his other relics from living with JCI stooges. He was cut a deal for a free grimoire, one that isn't even out yet. But obviously he isn't going to be getting that now. Lastly, about the situation with relics. If you refuse to give us any information, then claim you don't have your relic publicly when we've asked you, and make this big fucking display like you're being ripped off, like a certain few who kept doing, I'll know you're full of shit, especially if I've asked you multiple times about your order. So yes, the post will be removed, and you can stay sitting in the corner like the instigating bitch you really are, for trying to be passive aggressive, and we're just gonna move on. I also loved how a public post on the forum is posted as if it's some big secret about faith, and it's amusingly underlined, as if to say, oh, you know they're a cult when they use the word faith. Which is quite funny. No, we don't require blind faith. That's the JCI. That was explained beneath the cherry-picked posts, and the bullshit the sheeple chose to believe. So let's bury that bullshit as well. We don't require blind faith. Your quote-unquote faith comes from your successes and what you and your patron or patroness has done for you to help you along your ascent. So yes, you have to have faith in your abilities, yourself, and with, your own power, and what they have brought into your life, along with how they've guided you along your ascent. No one stated you can't believe in yourself. This stagnated community, including some magicians that I enjoy their work, will turn around and say they are skeptics to their own work. This was a chaos magician, no less, that I saw post this. And when you do stupid shit like that, you set the precedent that if you're too sure of your own capabilities or faith in yourself, you'll be seen as egotistical and arrogant as an author. So they adopt this form of magical placation and state, I'd better relate to him by stating that, hey, I'm a skeptic as well. And sadly, this works with the sheeple. Anyone who has heard me speak or my teachings have heard me speak about the skeptic block and the how it creates certain doubts in oneself. It corrupts the Ethereal mind and spirit. The skeptic block is a form of block that often blocks psychic, demonic energy channeling, and intent. One cannot remain skeptical on this path of the mind, as this hinders any ritual intent null due to this emotional response associated with being a skeptic, and interferes with transference of natural void energy and basic psionics, and it renders you still. This is why doubt is failure. A single strand of doubt, as you've heard us say, will render astral projection and your workings utterly useless. You must master your mind indefinitely to conquer this block. Often, we're told that such things aren't real or do not exist, shackling the mind further. Sadly, most magicians I know and those in stagnated communities suffer from this form of block. Do you believe ascended beings, demons, spirits, or infernals are consistently skeptical of what they can and cannot do beyond their capabilities? If you base your expectations only on what you can physically see and think you know, then you blind yourself from experiencing apotheosis or any form of transfiguration. I say this because we've encountered many who will come to the Cabal and the Blighted Lords, and instead of devoting the time and resources to ascend the towers, they put the craft down, saying it's impossible or gamer-like to preserve what's left of their fleeting ego, only to become failures as magicians and become the fruitless practitioner. Magic itself seems an impossible task. Therefore, rid your mind of these doubts to defeat it. Once it has been solidified, you will begin testing yourself by using simple visualization practices of which you can accomplish the quote-unquote impossible, such as seeing your mind's eye or, you know, levitating. And if something goes wrong and you're unable to cast yourself into a borderline self-induced hallucination, then there is an imposed skeptic block on what you think is possible, and your thought constructs will be tainted with disorganization, and you will have to form a regimen for removing this and achieving apotheosis. If not, you're going to remain the fruitless practitioner like many in the occult community and remain failures, because this is going to prevent any real astral travel, divination experiences where you're honing your mind, and everything I have listed. You have to remember, immortal entities do not see the word impossible in their vocabulary, nor do they doubt their own existence. Should you do this when you're more advanced or have crossed the threshold, your spirit will cease to exist. So you have to avoid the great lie of doubt and push towards your apotheosis. So you can't be skeptic or doubtful towards your own work, or or lack of faith in yourself. The stagnated communities and wannabe hard asses equate blind faith to having faith in your own works when you reach a certain point. It's how they try and push their own biased defamation narrative and false knowledge about us. I had a student tell me in the past he had 30 years of training in mysticism and 15 years of training in doing sorcery. He spouts all this knowledge and what he's accomplished, but still remains a skeptic towards himself, the existence of the spirits, and all he's worked with, and more, and wonders why he's continued to fail on this path and his success rates are shit. One of the most simplistic rituals those blocks hinder and stagnate will continuously I'm not going to name this chaos magician here, but from what he showed, it showed a lack of faith in himself, which can exist on any magical path, let alone if you're a chaos magician. So, I want to answer this next question as well. It's, do we worship demons, infernals, or spirits? Again, no, we do not worship demons, nor do they demand we kneel like these idiots keep spreading. Loyalty unto your pact, patron, and apotheosis must be absolute. I'm pretty sure I spoke about this in the comments in the group to someone. We don't kneel or worship, we acknowledge the infernals, and the spirits we work with are our teachers, and we are the students. Therefore, once again, you cannot claim you are this entity's equal, as you have not earned your place beyond this existence. They've had eternity to hone their craft and what they do. To them, you've only been practicing a few minutes. Most sorcerers take this high ground with whatever they work with rather than approaching respectfully and as a student. As I stated before, it's a symbiotic relationship in which we both expand our dominions. Yes, you as a mortal have your own dominion in which you must work. You have to drop self and become. Your works define you and your very existence. I've heard this statement regurgitated from EA that they want our existence from emotions to the vessels we inhabit. No, while some are like this, who are mostly foot soldiers of the hells who want your body to carry out their works, most have their own kingdoms. They don't crave this reality. They seek to conquer it. It's sheer fucking fallacy to think they can't feel or they don't know love nor pain. They know it well, and in ways we can't comprehend as mortals. Hence the need for learning and embracing the truest expression of demonic and spiritual emotion. The denizens of Shailara know love, passion, lust, like any other being in existence. So it's sheer fallacy to make a claim they don't feel emotions that we take for granted. I wanted to touch up on apostasy, since people like that idiotic moderator on Bouge attacked us by making a comparison to the JCI by memeing, and all this other shit, which is amusing since she's allied with a bunch of fruitless practitioners who will tack on the word gnosis and Gnosticism, which is what the first priest in this world practiced, by the way, in front of everything, and sell it as an occult secret. The term apostasy existed before the JCI, and the spirits have spoken for a very long time. It primarily revolves around betrayal. Whether you like it or not, in a sense, we're all apostates of something or another. For example, many left the JCI. Like it or not, that act alone caused them to mark you as an apostate. They all have this sort of, if you're not with me, you're a potential enemy mentality. Yes, even celestial entities. You're a fucking idiot if you continuously summon the very thing you left behind and rebelled against, like these so-called gray magicians. You cannot call them when you've rebelled against one of their subcurrents. It makes next to very little sense. I try to teach this to my students, their spiritual adversaries, so they can know who they're up against. And because apostasy is quite the topic. Most think we do the branding. It's actually the infernals who do this and mark you as the faithless and the traitor to all entities that tread the left-hand path. And it's not just the Cabal's entities that do this. Every demonic entity does this. Like this toxic community of spiritually blind so-called sorcerers think. If you think the JCI is harsh, demons and infernal beings always take their pound of flesh. If you think they don't believe in revenge, you're sadly mistaken. Let's start with Dan, James, and all the others. They both went through this phase of thinking everyone was attacking them, including me and Somnus. The current itself is very alive. It turns against those who set their sights against it, much like my Voodoo and Haitian ancestors. I went over this in Fallacy and Insight too for those curious and just now tuning in now. You know, James and his treachery being known, he kept releasing copyrighted information in which we knew, amusingly enough, they kept portraying Somnus as this sort of tyrant, which he gave them a lot of slack. Take James for an example. Year after year promising to bring information about his tower and workings and everything like that. And the demons he made his pact with willingly, he knew he was fucking up. Isolated incidents with posts only he could see, and all of a sudden it's released. He did that for a year when Somnus was giving him the chance. He had long been stripped of his rank. He sat on his ass year after year, and not bringing any teachings forward from the abyss, only to never say, due to some tragedy or another in his life, that this is why he wasn't bringing the information. It was just laziness. As I stated on a public post, in the end, these group of failures are trying to feebly justify their betraying of the infernal spirits they've bound themselves to, because of their own personal quarrel with Somnus, which is unfounded, as I said. Before, the demons you've seen, they aren't going to see it this way. There's no breaking a pact with them. Sadly, these sorcerers believe it's up to you to opt out of your pact, as if making a pact with something else will somehow override your previous spiritual engagements. This couldn't be further from the case. If you've turned against them when you said when you made all these promises to them, there's no opt-out program. And most entities won't take a spiritual risk and war over one mortal soul. If you somehow believe you're a special snowflake, then you need to learn about causicism with entities from higher dimensions, which is cosmic indifference, especially with what is, coming to all of these people out there at these point. Massive beings, they aren't good or evil. They're just above and accept the fact that if you aren't aligned with them, they won't care about you if you're not treading towards their goals. So instead of seeking attention and validation, these people have never tried to correct their mistake with these demonic entities or spirits, as far as I can tell. Most sorcerers on earth are the ones that follow the megachurch pastor Magi, have the Constantine syndrome, where they try to dip into every current and steal its rights, not even thinking of the consequences of doing so. Like this group of idiots that their mouths have written some checks they seriously can't cash when it comes to warring against these entities and their very existence. That's a JCI tactic through and through when they're trying to compare us to them. There's no justifying breaking any pact. They will never get the taste of our dicks out of their mouths. We will always be on their mind and their tongues. They always try and come back, spy, look, see what's going on. They've been shoving the proverbial cock up their ass for years and complaining why it's hurting. The spirits always take their pound of flesh. I love how none are forthcoming to speak upon what these demons took from them. It could be your child, there could be a miscarry, they may take your wealth, your love, your fame, they may expose you, they may take your home, your job. You'll pick up a few bad habits like smoking or something that make you open and susceptible to spiritual attack. They corrupt the pacts you make before you even make them, such as James trying to go Norse. They took that and corrupted it before it even began. They will always surface once in a while, these people. They will always surface looking for a pedestal or a smokescreen like the Balance Forum or another, without realizing they've beyond served us by spreading our names, works, and more with every fallacy that has been debunked in every video. The only people who aren't aware are them, and along with the liars and the dross who have been trying to give these renunciants I said they are just that, mere renunciants. It isn't up to them to break that pact as much as they like to parade around that they're proud of it, trying to be edgy. There is no tricking a demon or devil. Just like that failure James, who, like I said, is never gonna get our dicks out of his mouth. Mr. Food Stamps, who claims to make six figures, will always talk about how he trick these demons, how nothing is going on with them, but they continue to take all from him. The current is stronger than ever despite all the bullshit. People have already seen them to be liars and now dross. They've just helped us filter out even more of the shit that's been stacked against us for years that we couldn't be bothered to correct. Irony of it is, no matter how small the straw man argument they bring up, it's always going to be dismantled, like James and his fucking YouTube channel, Papa Knox, which is hilarious. Name coming from a white supremacist neo-Nazi POS, that they can do no harm to the work we're doing or anything like that. Joe, as he was failing, came to me and others with his bullshit about a spirit in the void, no less, that the cabal is crumbling, which couldn't be further from the truth. Due to the type of guy I am, I'd be like, yeah, the current and its members are struggling, and I would bring forth the truth as I always do. He came to me with this bullshit after he was shown this cherry-picked bullshit by James and fell for the hype like all the others. So, additionally, if you run across someone talking shit or disavowing the spirits and warring against their existence, undoubtedly they are a useless pawn in this game. You need not defend us, least of all to the dross megachurch pastor magicians whose idea of transfiguration and apotheosis is a dollar sign with an asshole tattooed on it, whilst they claim everyone else is selling a fantasy. Make no mistake, apotheosis and the arts that lead to it are no fantasy, nor are the planes of existence beyond our own. So, come hear our works from the demon's mouth rather than a bunch of fruitless practitioners that live on Facebook and forums all day. As I said before, they're useless today and will be useless tomorrow. Don't concern yourself with idiots who have experienced the second death and are eternally butthurt. Leave them to their little emotional support group. That place is like 85% trolls and megachurch pastor magicians who just shitpost all day and don't really practice to seek validation from a bunch of angsty and angry teens. You don't need to convince them of shit. Let them wallow in ignorance and stupidity. The only people who don't know their bullshit has been put forward along with proof are them, because they haven't watched the videos, they haven't seen much of the stuff. They can't affect the work you do. You don't need to seek validation from a bunch of failures who constantly shitpost to their D&D straw man cult argument and all this other shit with the exploitation and relic shit that's been demolished. They will always, key word here, speculate on what they think they know and apply only theoretical thinking rather than actual practice, stealing from each other and reverse engineering it and selling it as an occult so-called secret. For an organization that claims to be against censorship, they do it often. For an organization that claims to expose quote-unquote occult secrets, they really don't have any. I've followed them from multiple profiles since that forum was first opened. Now they claim the seals, which we let them post in the Bounce community, is a quote-unquote secret. Another fallacy I want to decimate is that they've spread is that those whom aren't in the cabal cannot work with the spirits. What in the name of the hells do you think an outer disciple is? They reach out to many all over the world and dimensions beyond ours. Sadly, most people who are in touch with certain entities choose the wrong ways to channel forth the knowledge and names they receive, such as, H.P. Lovecraft. Although these entities exist, even their truest names were corrupted, and he wrote them off as, like many others, as fiction. These, as if these didn't exist. They existed before he made them known, except for, like, really obscure cults with their true names that weren't tainted by his own thoughts of racism and madness and reiteration over the years. So if an entity has similar features or characteristics, it doesn't mean they are related. By that dumbass logic, you might as well say any entity that seems like a cephalopod or has a tentacle belongs to the old ones, which is pure fallacy, such as their strawman argument with the Dralith, which is a discussion all its own, will be covered in another video. Additionally, not everyone who leaves is branded either. We've had many in rough positions all over the country allied with us and are in dangerous situations or live with JCI family that won't let them practice. Many also have come forward and say, hey, this path isn't for me, but I want to leave peacefully and respectfully. And there are ways to go about this with the spirits, such as, the Kethian vow. My predecessors of my tower, Astra, took to summarize this vow, it's giving oneself onto the subcurrent or patron, forfeiting certain aspects, and conversing, with the dross and dedicating oneself fully to their path while interacting minimally with the order, peacefully. They are in complete resonance with their patron or patroness. But, most of these people that have left have that egotistical block shoved so far up their asses they remain spiritually blind on this path. So we have had people parading around as well, claiming to have been masters or the elder council, or, claiming to have talked to them, which is bullshit, because we speak to our predecessors. I speak to the predecessor of my tower of the void, like once or twice a month. And the others don't speak to these failures like they claim. Like, if you like Robert, James, and Christian, were title tested, beating their chest by stating their title in every sentence. The power is not in the title, it is in your merit and the ritual works you put forward onto the current and its spirits. The failures will always surface every once in a while, spreading more fallacious bullshit and running their mouths like they are now when the cabal is affluent and its works are spreading. We do the work that these people are afraid to do because when it comes down to it, those title tested falter when the time comes for actual ritual. We show them the work and rites that many will accuse us of not practicing what's in the grimoires, and then when we show them proof, they get completely consumed with fear, threaten us with legal action, and all this other bullshit, realizing we aren't the fruitless practitioners that they have grown so accustomed to in the weak communities. So I wanted to also cover this question I got right here, is, are we associated with the cabal? So I know which cabal you're referring to. And if we were, do you believe they would let an African American speak on their behalf or work their way up through the order? No. I presume you mean, the Illuminatus, Masonic, NWO. No, although the Blighted do seek their own nation, as do we, this is not, this isn't the first time we've received this question, actually. A lot of hate is generated due to this fad, but every order of black magicians is technically a cabal based on the definition of it. So no, we aren't allied with them. And the next question is, why do we think this place is a planar prison? Firstly, we know it's a planar prison. We talk about the veil, and I teach how the veil is a celestial construct that's very much alive and against the powers that be. It reinvents itself around every single ritual success you have. Hence the weak sorcerers who try to time their successes and speak about success rates will always fail. Our plane of existence is one of the very few worlds or dimensions that has this stagnation known as the veil. This is the only world that questions the existence of spirits or sorcery itself. Due to this world, the demons try to convince you that these, things don't exist or is pure, that's pure fallacy. Our plane is fully cut off due to the nature of mortals. It was not always like this. Sorcerers and kings would wage war with other dimensions for territory. And, the more idiots who think that sorcerers merely disappear after they choose to leave the flesh are the megachurch pastor magicians. They are but the, a fish in the pond trying to perceive the world around them, not knowing that there's a bigger world out there than them because they're unable to put their egos aside and witness higher dimensional travel. The next question is, of course, do we work with celestials? Yes, but only the fallen, not those who have been robbed of their core spiritual traits such as ego, imagination, and free will. The fallen have liberated themselves from their caste system and enslavement and have joined us and can manipulate the world in certain ways infernals can't. For well they know the tactics used by their enslaved brethren. If anyone claims we work with all celestials, they truly don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Many have heard me state that if you're trying to conjure both infernals and celestials that aren't aligned with one another, you're hitting the reset button. Here's why. They have this form of celestial purification when you even call them. And they apply this to their teachings and everything like that because there must be an alignment much like ours. Hence we try to guide you and help you exist in resonance with them rather than starting over, drifting in spirit, and eventually becoming an empty shell. I also saw a question posed on the Facebook group about the Blighted's former seals and, the others. About them being bland and everything. If this is happening, then it's a sign of distrust and belief of a tainted mind. And I'm not surprised. They know what's in your head and your intent. Essentially, most of the shit talkers have Trojan horse their own little group. The moment you call them for their knowledge, you agree to enter into a form of pact to assist them in the mission. From every line you draw with their sigils, when you call their names, there was also a discussion about it on the Facebook post, but don't be lazy. Use the circles and components in the grimoires. Otherwise they won't come to you if you can't adhere to their ceremonies. Once again, I'm telling you, if you use that so-called universal circle, it will not work for them. Due to its subtle design to compel, chain, and mesmerize the spirits into its slavery, it will not work. I would have thought many other sorcerers would have caught that, but the spiritually blind have not, sadly. So, is there a war on? More like a carefully crafted game of chess for conquering the spiritual and physical world in which we live. I hate to make this analogy as well, but whenever you make a pact with any entity, you will make enemies, akin to that of a gang. You take on this angel or demon or spirit or whatever you work with, enemies, and pass by aligning with them. Even atheists are targeted when they aren't aligned, much like, you guessed it, a prison, which is this plane of existence. There are even entities which I personally cannot work with due to my ancestry, due to their enemies and what they were involved in. On any path you will have enemies, physical and spiritual. The only idiots who I've seen doubt this very simple fact are the spiritually blind and the Balj Forum community, who have this gray Jedi type of mentality about balance. Infernals know well balance and patience, perhaps more than anything in existence. They've waited, make no mistake, the Celestials wish to conquer and enslave under the guise of bringing order. They will do so through any means necessary, taking the guise of something you've tried to summon and harming you, from making you sick, granting you cancer, or wreaking havoc in your life to ensure you never slip through the cracks ever again. They too do not adhere to any form of mortal morals, as some, fluffy angel like people like to make them look like. They're not there to serve your every whim. These false stories about them that they work with infernals or old ones is false machinations to keep you from true alignment, more glamorization of demons and angels. It's all magical placation. Another thing I wanted to silence is someone asked me, why do I have to sacrifice my enjoyment for apotheosis? False, you don't. If you can't enjoy what you do with your craft, you're a failure as a magician. If you see it as work or you let your ambitions die, let me tell you why this is a path you came for: freedom and power. Now people do this obligatory work and have this stigma that sorcerers can't enjoy their lives if you're in the public eye, because they want you to be um, wearing a mask, a monotone asshole that just writes books like the megachurch pastor magicians, who say just for 5 easy payments of $250 you can make billions off of black magic by taking my apprentice program, when in reality they're trying to sell you Pirelli's miracle elixir, all whilst they wear a mask for the public and become public slaves themselves, begging crowds for forgiveness when something happens in their lives. Take that Logan Paul incident. For a bunch of dipshits who vote for corrupt politicians, record fights and authority abuse, they think they have the right to judge others behind the false safety of anonymity. Dross filth with modern day torches and pitchforks. You're a public slave when random nobodies stress you over something that's going on in your life, like a certain magician a while back got busted for drugs and all these other charges, and then he made a heartfelt apology video. When you start doing shit like this, you've already lost yourself. You came on this path to pursue freedom, not just spiritually, but in all forms. Now you live on Facebook and forums. How do you expect to ascend if you're a public slave who can't even find the time to enjoy yourself or maintain a stable ritual regimen? Think on that. I saw this also spread on the Bounce Forum community, as well as more shit that was twisted by speculators and theoretical practitioners. We don't set the precedent of being social media occult gurus on Facebook like many of the megachurch pastor magicians who set that precedent of being on social media constantly, writing lies or asking stupid fucking questions like what's your favorite spells, and all that other stupid shit. With that in mind, don't spam us with a question, then spam us with, question marks. You wouldn't put up with that shit, and neither will we. That shit won't be tolerated. We aren't public slaves and refuse to apologize for the work we do and the lack to glamorize it, due to the occult equivalent of evangelical Christians screaming at the top of their lungs, cult this and cult that. This is going to be the last time I will pay any attention to these adolescent children like James and their cherry-picked posts. They've already been proven wrong. Even EA with that little copy and pasted cancel the cabal video he made. That was also decimated in Fallacy and Insight too, along with every leg these people can possibly stand on in their defamation campaign. This is why it pays to keep the dross out of your business. They make themselves look more idiotic with every single lie they tell when it's all been debunked. These people, like I said, once again, will always have our dicks in their mouths, especially after this response video, namely James with that childish last word mentality. That said, we will get on to more important topics, such as my brother Somnus explaining the different paths to apotheosis for necromancy. I myself will delve into the void, and as well as a few other tower introductions and what you can expect from the spirits and that line of ascension. I will also include an introduction explaining why I believe these sorcerers are blind, along with how to get past blocks and opening oneself, along with the third eye, meditation, spirit sight, and astral projection. Um, I'm also going to attach Brother Moldegren's video as well. He has a few wise words since the apostates are trying to use him as some sort of excuse to their idiocy, thinking he left the current. So hope you've all enjoyed this video series. As usual, drop self and become. Do not allow your path to be overlooked because others are unwilling to explore true interpretation of apotheosis brought forward with sincere knowledge that is not rooted in postmodern deconstruction in certain stagnated occult groups who are too terrified or lazy to explore what one thinks is possible beyond the physical existence. Infernal blessings, everyone. We will speak again. Adalas Akreo.